All right, we are live. Welcome back to the Friday Night Prepper pre-party show. I am very excited to be back live. It feels like it's been forever. It's been, I think it was last Tuesday when I did my last live broadcast on Prepping with Sarge, and then I was a guest last week on
It's been forever.
Digital Prepper. Hang on one second.
Last Tuesday when I did my last.
Got a little echo. I think we got to clear it up. All right. Then, so I'm glad to be live. I've got a very, very special guest for you all today. A good friend of mine. He's been a good supporter of the channel. Let me introduce you, please, Brian from Titan Preparedness. Brian, can you tell him a little bit about yourself, your channel, and what your focus is on?
Sure. So, Titan Preparedness, like Sarge said, we've been, I'd say, pretty good friends for a little while. I'm always watching his stuff. He's always watching mine. The channel itself is a very down-to-earth, average Joe prepping channel. We don't do the fear porn stuff like a lot of other channels do. We stay focused on your normal day-to-day prepping needs. It's cool if you want to go out and build a bunker in your backyard. If you've got the money, hey, go for it. But we focus on common sense prepping things. Hurricane knocking at your door. What do you need? You got one more trip to Walmart. What do you need to pick up? Twister just hit. What are some things that, you can get to help out your family, your friends, your neighbor, your community? We're very focused on family preparedness because myself and a couple of the guys that are on this channel, we all have kids. I think, 10 plus kids between all of us. And so we try to focus on keeping them fed, keeping them taken care of, even if the power goes off, even if the water goes off. And yeah, we've had fun doing it.
And Brian and I are both South Carolinians. There is actually a good plethora of prepping channels from South Carolina. There's Ray Wild, right? I think he's in South Carolina, or is he in North Carolina?
Rewild?
Rewild.
He's in Florida. There's Primarily Prepared.
My bad.
There's Engineer 775, something like that. He's in Pickens.
Yep. Such.
Skinny Medic.
Black Scout Survival.
Is he in South Carolina?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So we got a couple of the big channels here in South Carolina. Yeah.
Very nice.
Good place to be if y'all are preppers. So if you're in a state that does not respect your freedom, please come visit South Carolina. You're going to want to move here. Yeah. All right. Hey, Pilgrim Radio. Good to see you. So let me ask you that, since it wasn't on some of the things we talked about before the game, but what are some of the channels that inspire you?
So my favorite is probably the Provident Prepper. I think it's Colleen and Jonathan. They've got a big family of like 10, 12, 15 people and 200 grandkids. And husband-wife combo, a little bit older than I am, and they focus on big, large family preparedness. That's one of them. Of course, the Urban Prepper, he's pretty good. Palmetto Prepared, right here in South Carolina. I think he's down in Columbia area. I follow him a lot. Some buddies, Rewild Outdoors, Butterbeans Outdoors, New Age Tactical.
Good stuff. All good channels. Probably the biggest ones that got me started was Morgan from Rogue Preparedness was probably the first channel that I really got big time into. Love Cliff from the Urban Prepper. Lily's what is it? Survival Lily. She is awesome. You ever catch her? Yeah, she's phenomenal. And Step One Survival. You catch him, the Marine, with his wife Sippy. They're really cool. Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, that's it's good to have another South Carolinian on the channel today. I like one of the things I do like about your channel is that you are down to earth. You are very much, not getting into the fear porn, not divisive talk, just straight up skills and product reviews. And you're always, you keep it honest. Like, even if it's something that somebody doesn't want to hear, you keep it honest. And I respect that. Which is going to probably lead us into the big topic for tonight, about keeping it honest, right? Which is the Titan Challenge. Can you tell everybody about the Titan Challenge, what it is and how you came up with it?
Sure. So the Titan 10-mile challenge is I guess, our give back to the community. The rule of thumb, I guess you would call it, in the prepping community, is that you should be able to get your bag, get your gear, your supplies, whatever, and hike 10 to 20 miles in a day with it strapped on your back. And so for us, you know, I've been a prepper since probably 2012, 2013 time frame. I've watched my fair share of loadout videos. Some of these guys were loading out 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds worth of gear going, hey, this bag's going to save my life. Well, how can it save your life when you can't even walk past the mailbox with it? I mean, it's not going to save your life when you fall over dead 10 feet from your house. And so for us, we wanted to do something that says, hey, yeah, we packed this bag, but we can also ruck with this bag. So the Titan 10 mile challenge is you put your bag on, you go for a walk, 10 miles, 20 miles, whatever you want to do. You can spend the night, you can, you know, just there and back. It doesn't have to be up a mountain. It doesn't have to be, it could be a, you know, a road march. It can be straight through the woods. It doesn't really matter. As long as, if you're a content creator, take your bag, go for a 10-mile walk. And then at the end of it, whether in that video or a separate video, talk about what worked, talk about what didn't work, talk about pros and cons, because it's a lot like driving. You can sit there and read the driver's manual all day, but until you put boots on the ground, you don't know for sure what worked, what didn't, and how things played out. You learn a lot by getting out there and actually doing things. And so for like us, you know, you learn how the pack carries. Because if you pick your bag up and you walk around your house and you go, yep, 80 pounds, no problem. That 80 pounds is a lot different 2 miles down the road. And the 80 pounds is a lot different 10 miles down the road. And so making sure that you can carry it, making sure that it carries fine and it doesn't break your back doing it. It doesn't, you know, pinch your shoulders or the stuff in there is worthwhile. Like if you use a piece of gear and it breaks, well, let your viewers know that. If you use a water filter and it clogs up first use, say, hey, listen, you may want to watch out for this, or maybe I just got a bad product. Try it again later. Anthony Palmetto Prepared, he did a Titan 10 mile challenge, I guess you would say, and his was a little get home bag, maybe 30 pounds, and it was just him walking around. I think it was like a field or a park or, you know, some school. So he was on asphalt, walked 8 miles out of it. What he learned in that 2 hours, 3 hours of walking was that the boots that he wears every single day that he planned to walk 20, 30 miles home with, he started blistering up after like the first 3 laps. Like 2 miles in, he's blistered up and he's planning on walking 20 miles. So now he knows, hey, listen, I gotta keep a pair of tennis shoes in my car. We've done it and we've learned, you know, hey, our shelter systems are not as good as we think they are, especially in the dead of winter. We've learned chafing issues. We've learned dehydration issues. We've learned dealing with coyote issues. Just a bunch of stuff that you learn when you actually put boots to the ground and you actually go out and do things that you say that you can do.
Yeah, I saw that video from that Anthony did. That was actually, I saw his before I saw yours, and I commented on it like, yeah, that's the real deal. Like, you know, we all talk the talk, but how many of us are actually going to get out there and actually try it, right? Now, I know a lot of the military guys have done this in the past, so you know, depending on how separated you are from your years of service, they know that at least they've done it. But the rest of us, like, I'm not a military guy. It's, you know, Sarge is just a nickname. So the last time that I did a hike that was over 10 miles with my full gear was when I was a teenager. That's how long it's been. And that's many years in my rear view mirror, right? So it made me think. I did my own little mini challenge to kind of see where I was at. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the first video I think I saw on your channel, believe it or not, was the Get Home Challenge, right? I think that was maybe about a year ago, and you got dropped off like 20 miles or 10 miles from your house or something.
Yep.
Right. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. And you had acknowledged that during that video, you know, that's the other thing is a lot of people go on here and content creators and whether it's gardening or whatever, like fake success, right? Like it's
right.
always perfect. Everything, you know, my product works perfect. My garden is perfect. My bug out is perfect. My plan is perfect. But you're honest. You said, hey, there was a lot of things here that we thought we were going to do and that were extremely challenging, right? So I think that was the video that made me subscribe to your channel.
I wonder if it was the first one or the second or third one. We've done a couple.
It was over a year ago.
Oh yeah, it's probably that first one. And so I made the actual challenge video, which is just me talking, and like you said, the gardening. I can't tell you that I can go out here and build a perfect garden, and then if you ask me to do it, say, oh yeah, I don't want to show you. But you'd be surprised at how many people that I've reached out to, commented on their loadout videos that are 80, 90 pounds. I said, hey, I'd love to see you, go out and walk with this thing. Well, I walk every single day with my bag. And Sarge, as a content creator, you're always thinking of what's my next video? What's my, what am I going to do this weekend? And so you're telling me that you go out here every single day and you walk 10 miles with your bag. But as a content creator, you haven't posted a video about it. It's kind of, sketchy to me.
It's suspect.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's, And so, well, I guess I'll jump into mine, what I did, and then we'll go into the next part of this. So, because of Brian's challenge here, I thought, you know what, I do need to try this. I need to see where I'm at. It's been a long time since I did this. I've had a lot of injuries since then, a lot of health problems since then. So, I said, I'm going to take it to, let me just throw on the bag. And I'm going to try to do 5 miles, just see how that feels. Right. And that's what I did on my weekend away. There's going to be footage coming on that. I got to edit it. But I can talk a little bit about it right now. So I cheated a little bit in that I dumped my tent and my bedroll before I did mine, but then I hit the trails. And so my pack was probably 30-ish, 30 pounds. So it's pretty lightweight. I don't typically carry a lot of food with me, but also I kind of rely on my foraging skills too. So that's one of the things too that you start figuring out as you carry stuff. Like I can replace some of this gear with skills, right? And you really, if you're good at shelter building like Survival Lily, you could replace a lot of your weight. She can go out there and she can put together a shelter in a couple hours. I can do it, but not nearly as good as she could. So. My shoes held up okay. Again, mine was only 5 miles. My pack was fine. My shoulders were fine. Again, only 5 miles. What did strike me though is the humidity. And you did yours in August. I did mine in October. And so big difference, big difference. And it was still super humid. Like, every half mile or whatever, I'm like, man, it's getting hot, and, you just feel it, with the gear on your back, you really feel it. And I can't imagine. I hate August here in South Carolina. I really do. So much respect.
What
was that like?
Oh, it was that last one we did, the hottest day of the year, the hottest day of the summer. I don't remember the name of it. We stepped out of the car. I think it was me and Austin. We did it. And we step out of the car. And like you said, the humidity just, it hits you. You're like, all right, not this bad. And on that one, we walked to a waterfall, which is like a mile in or something like that. And then you back up and then you start up the mountain. And that first big hill, I wore a gray shirt, like a light gray shirt, for the reason to show the audience. And going up that first hill, I mean, we're maybe a mile, 1.25, something like that, less than a mile and a half. And I've already got a sweat ring to here. And we go up the next big hill, so we're less than 2 miles in, and the entire front of the shirt is pitch black. And you can't counter humidity. Someone posted about Texas, being hiking season in Texas. Mm-hmm. I've been in Texas. Texas is a very dry heat. You can throw some water on you and cool yourself down. You can't do that here. That's one bad thing about South Carolina. Yeah. There's no cooling yourself down.
No. And even in the winter, like in February, I've gone and played airsoft and stuff. In February, you would think it's still humid here. It might be cool, but it's still humid. Yeah. So let's go into the next part of it here, which is you did a book review recently about a book that we both have read. A lot of people in the prepper community will know what this book is. It's called Going Home. I have my thoughts on it were different than yours. I enjoyed it as a work of fiction. I second one was okay for me. Third one starts getting like, but the first one I did enjoy a lot. In fact, I've read it twice. But there's the things that I don't like about it is that some of the mentality that's been adopted by big portions of the prepper community based on that book.
Mhm.
And that's where I think you and I agree.
Oh yeah, like so I read One Second After. It was my first prepper fiction book that I read, and at least the first one was very down to earth. There wasn't that much fiction based in it. And then reading Going Home after having just did the 10-mile trip or 20-mile trip up the mountain with less gear than the man was carrying, I was like, there's no way. He's doing, me and you talked about it. He's carrying 70, 80, 90 pounds worth of gear. And it goes back to that, Titan 10-mile challenge thing. There's no way possible that you're hiking with 10 miles a day with 90 pounds of gear. And yeah, it was Florida in the wintertime. Florida's humid anyway. And so never once did he complain. I think he complained one time that the pack was heavy, like the first chapter of the book. And I was like, dude, I just did the same thing with half the weight, and I'm dying over here on a trail. But in this book, he's like, oh yeah, I'm just another day and walking in the woods.
And he's the main character. He's supposed to be like 40-ish, right?
Mm-hmm. Give or take.
Yeah, and he's not like straight out of military, like he had just come out of boot camp or so he would be in super good shape or anything like that. He's just like a guy that had a bug out bag in his car, 80 pound bug out bag, straps it on his back and walks 200 miles. And I think no problem. And I think that's where some of this fantasy comes from, that like you're going to be able to do that, but it's just not reality based. It's really not. And worse than that, like, why would you choose? There's only a couple situations where I would choose to go hide in the woods.
Right.
It would have to be so extreme, like the United States has been invaded or something like that. That would be maybe the only way that I would do that. In almost any other situation, I'm going to bug in, or if I have to bug out because there's a hurricane or a chemical spill or wildfires, I'm going to go to a hotel or I'm going to go to a friend's house. I ain't going to bug out in the woods.
Oh yeah. And I don't remember which video I did on it, but my thoughts exactly. First plan is a hotel, maybe 20 miles outside town and the next town over, whatever.
Yeah.
And then a buddy's house. I got friends that live in all directions. So if I got a fire in my backyard, yeah, I might have to evacuate. I might have to bug out of my home, but I can go hang out with them for a couple of days. There's very few where I'm like, oh, that wood line looks perfect. I'm going to go live there.
Yeah. Unless you have a really phenomenal reason to do that, there's definitely better options. But I don't know, people get so hung up on that, and it's a fun thing to build your bug out bag. I will say that it's a fun thing to build your get home bag. And I think, when you've got a lot of your other preps in place, it's something that people should do. You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy that experience. You'll enjoy, finding the right gear for you and that kind of stuff. But testing it and dispelling that reality. We're talking about rucking out and bugging out bacon. When you start testing it and you start realizing I got to dump some of this weight for one thing. If I ever had to use this, I half the stuff in here, I'm going to have to figure out to live without. Unless you're super fit, right? Unless you're like, you're out of Marines boot camp and every day you're rucking it to keep up with it. Most people are not doing that though.
Well, and that's why there's 10,000 loadout videos and 5 videos of people actually testing.
So of the ones about, other than you and the guys that you've taken with you and Anthony from Palmetto Prepared, is there any other ones that you know of that have actually done this?
Poople's cat, he didn't call it the Titan 10-mile challenge, but he did a very interesting challenge where he walked around like straight through the city, and so it wasn't a lot of like shots of him running across the road. It was mostly like shaky cam footage, but it was still, he talks in kilometers, but it was somewhere around 8 or 10 miles. And he was saying, okay, my wife's, or whoever's going to pick me up over here. And so he had his pack, and he would pass by a water stream and talk about getting water from it, or, pass by some little big tunnel tube looking thing. And well, I could spend a couple hours in here if I needed to. So he did a similar challenge. Modern Refugee also did a similar challenge. Again, didn't call it the Titan Challenge, but he did another, road march essentially, and then talked about the surrounding areas and where he could hide out if he needed to, where he could stay, spend the night. And I think he lives somewhere out west. And so where I have woodline, his is like, well, here's a cornfield. So, good luck hiding in a cornfield.
And I'll throw one other name out there again. Survival Lily. I've never seen her do like a full march with it, but I've seen her primitive skills. I know she can bug out. There's no question in my mind for her. And I don't think she wouldn't carry that much gear because she bushcrafts a lot of it.
Right. And then you've got to plan the part of, depending on the situation. If you've got time to bushcraft, then you can walk up with a knife and a ferro rod and do great. If you're trying to get distances and you're spending 6-7 hours building a shelter, that's 7 hours you could be walking. So I think she could do it, no doubt. And she might just carry a knife with her and march. She could do 20 miles before I did 10, but then it would turn around and take time to build.
Yep, that's it right there, Bacon. Exactly. Hey, Angie, it's good to see you. So the other thing about that book that kind of bugs me, and this is kind of getting off topic a little bit, is the whole like obsession with EMPs. Like the prepper community is obsessed with EMPs, as if we don't have a whole bunch of other crap that's going on every day, that we got to deal with.
Yeah, that's like the big bad boogeyman in the closet. And we try not to talk about it. There's some situations where we'll bring it up. We've been talking barter and trade on the channel for a couple of days, or a couple of weeks now, and we'll bring it up because that is, at least in the prepping community, it's the big event that we all know about. I can say, oh, a hurricane can do this damage, but everyone knows that an EMP would wipe, X, Y, and Z out. And so we don't bring it up. Again, not a fear porn channel. We don't, China's building EMP. But yeah, it's the big bad boogeyman in the closet for everyone. And everyone talks about it like, oh, I need a bug out vehicle. Well, before you go drop 20 grand on that old truck that doesn't run, you may want to stock your pantry for this power outage.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that I should be, we should all be thinking about the possibility of long-term power outage, whether it's EMP or something else, coronal mass ejection. There's hacking, as Digital Prepper and I have talked about a couple of times. They don't need an EMP. They can take out the grid much easier than an EMP. So thinking about like, what are my other alternative light sources, right? Do I have ways that I can light my house other than, my overhead lighting and things like that? And how am I going to do my best to keep cool or keep warm and stuff like that? And what am I going to do about food when the refrigerator, when I run out of fuel for my generator and things like that? I think it is worthwhile to talk about. My gripe with it is that like it becomes, in discussions with other preppers, a lot of times it becomes like the be all end all. Like, well, that wouldn't work because
right.
the power is going to be down forever. Well, nobody knows that. Even, military reports that I've read about it, they said we don't fully know that everything would be knocked out and that it would be knocked out forever. One of the reports said that if your car wasn't running, there's like a 25% chance that your car might start back up.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how close you are. It depends on how strong the pulse was. There's a lot to it. All right. So gear, what worked? What didn't work?
So right now I've been messing around with the Hydro Blue. I've been with them, testing their gear. Maybe the last year or so. Hydro Blue VersaFlow, which is a lot like the Sawyer Mini. Just a different top end on it. And so you know how you can screw a bottle on the bottom end of the Sawyer? Well, you can screw a bottle on the top end as well on the Hydro Blue. So I've been messing with them for a year and a half now. So far, I love it. It's a great water filter. You buy the $25 kit. It comes not only with the water filter, it comes with 2 half-gallon gravity-fed bags, and so you can put water in one, have it as dirty water, put clean water in the other, hang it from a tree. It also comes with the bucket adapter, and so you drill a hole in a bucket, and then you hook your water filter up, you put dirty water in the bucket, and it flows throughout the day. I think we averaged like 190 gallons, I think is what we said, per day. You know, and that's enough for a community. I think we did it for David. He lives near the lake. That's enough for his entire community if the power were to ever, or the water ever shut off for whatever reason. So I really like their products. I think I did the gravity bag a couple weeks ago. Some great products there, about the same price as the Sawyer Mini. Good as something else to look at, right? Everyone knows about Sawyer. Everyone knows about Life Straw. Start branching out and seeing all these other options just to see what's out there. Like I was telling you beforehand, One Wind hammocks are probably my favorite hammocks. Cheap. I think they're like $40 for the single and $50 for the double. Comes with great straps. Probably the best suspension system I've ever used on a hammock system. And I've been hammock camping for like 5 years now. Comes with the Ridgeline, which if you buy that separate, it's like an extra $15-20. 11-foot long. I think the small one's like 4 foot wide, and the other one's like 5.5 foot wide. So plenty big. I'm a bigger guy, 200 pounds, and I can stretch it out in this thing like it's a king size bed.
So when you're, sorry.
Second.
I was gonna say when you're on the hammock, right, and you guys are out on the trails, have you had any bears coming by and sniffing around?
It's probably not. I think the areas that we've been hiking have been camped enough where the bears kind of at least stay away. Now, we did have on one of our hiking trips, we did have what we thought probably was a bear. Would come in, but we're coming back from the top of the mountain. We get near the state park, and me and Austin are like, man, something just stick. Like, it smells like something died. And I've never been bear hunting. I've never, been in close contact with a bear, but I've been told, hey, they stink. They're terrible smelling animals. And we're pretty sure it was within, maybe a couple 100 yards. We didn't see it. We didn't hear it. But there was an odor, and then there wasn't an odor. So I don't know if it scurried off or if we scared it. But that's as close as I want to be.
Yeah. We have gators in my part of the state. Do you guys have gators out there?
We do not. We got gars.
You have what?
Gar. It's a fish with a really long nose. Looks like a gator. Prehistoric crocodile looking thing.
Yeah. So I think it was Rewild in one of his bug out videos. He talked about that he heard a growl in the middle of the night, and that's almost certainly was a gator because I know what they sound like. It was probably like checking him out.
Now we've had coyote problems doing bugging out, doing little trips overnight. We've had a coyote problem, and I've heard panthers. We haven't gotten them on camera. They say they're not up here, but anyone that lives up here will tell you we have panthers. I can get that on camera one day. It'll be good.
Make a good
Scare
video.
me and I'll probably run off, but
yeah.
I'll try.
Yeah, and of course we see all kinds of copperheads here. You must see some of those, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, snakes galore.
Yeah. So again, back to that, that whole prepper fantasy that you're just going to go live in the woods. Yeah. When you start dealing with some of these critters that you don't normally see, it's a whole different ball game.
Oh yeah, and it's the ones that you don't see, but see you, that you don't know that you need to worry. Mm-hmm. We have hogs up here. I'm not sure if y'all got them as bad down there, but unless you're going hunting for hogs, you never see them. You just see the aftermath of them. Mm-hmm. You'll go, we got a baseball field near where I work, and it'll be fine one day. Next day, it's completely trash.
They mud it up.
They mow it up. And you're like, if I was out there, like, you're not going to know they're there until they're right on top of you, and then you got 20, 30 hogs on you. What are you going to do?
Yeah, we do have them around here. Not as much as like start going. See, I'm on the coast. But the further in you go, of course, you're going to see more of that kind of stuff. What gear didn't work? Was there anything in particular you were like, yeah, I'm tossing this. This is not happening?
I've stayed away from live straw. I used it one time on a small little day trip and just trying to suck every single ounce of water. You couldn't get hydrated enough. Some people swear by them. I'm not one. If it's not a flow-through filter, I don't use it. Emergency blankets, UST survival blankets, things like that. We did a wintertime challenge, and could we have survived? Yeah, sure. One of the biggest things that people don't talk about is sleep. You know, if you get 2 days, 3 days, 4 days during your bug out of terrible sleep, that's gonna affect you worse than starving or being dehydrated or whatnot. And so we took these. I took the UST survival blanket and then like a emergency sleeping bag or something. And I'm laying on the ground and we are shivering like the entire night. That was the same night we had coyotes, so we dogged it off after that. But I was like, could we have, real world situation? Could we have lived? Yes. Would it have been absolutely miserable? Yeah. Would I have gotten an hour of sleep? Maybe if I was lucky. But yeah, definitely the Mylar blankets. They're emergency blankets for a reason. I'll give them that much.
Yeah, they make a ton of noise too. So like if your goal was I'm going out in the woods to hide, like that completely defeats the purpose of that because you can hear them a mile away. I just reminded me about gear and plans that don't work. I did see a video years ago. Somebody was going out and they were doing a little bug out test for them. I don't remember the channel. It was a long time ago. And their plan was, those little emergency lifeboat rations. They're like little lemon bars and stuff. That's all they brought for food. And their plan was that they were going to eat just that for 3 days. And after 2 days, they started looking for wood grubs and worms and stuff like that because they were like, I can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've tried those. We had my wife and David's wife try the millennial bars. And no, that wasn't happening. No.
Yeah, on my little trip here that I did 2 fresh meals. That I brought the food for 2 fresh meals, and the rest of it was like MRE stuff. And that's kind of brutal on your GI system too. There's a price to pay for that. If you could supplement with some foraging, it probably helps, and hydrate like crazy. If you're gonna eat that stuff, you gotta drink a ton of water. Any other gear that didn't work?
The last pack I used, it was a little Osprey day pack. It held up fine. My big pack is an Osprey. It being a summer loadout, summer get home bag. I was like, well, I don't need a sleeping bag. I don't need all this wintertime stuff. Armadillos are getting bad here too. And so I cut down a bunch of the weight. Well, cutting down a bunch of the gear, I was able to move to a smaller bag. And so I had like this little, it was probably less than a 20-liter pack, and it rode my spine the entire freaking trip. And I'd rather it be lower and then sit on my hips, but it was, that last quarter of the spine, and it destroyed my back.
What do you use for a bag?
My big bag is a Kestrel 48 from Osprey, and then my small bag is like the Walmart 30-liter or something like that.
I do the I like the 511 Rush series. That's what I've got for both my bug out bag and I've got it for my bug out bag, my get home bag, and my EDC. I like the bag that much. What ways? So if somebody's going to do the Titan challenge, what are some ways that they could vary it up a little bit?
Wintertime versus summertime. That's the biggest one. For us, we try to do a trip once every 3, 4, 5 months. Most of us preppers go through our bags, change of season. And so your summer loadout is, let's say, 30 pounds. And then wintertime, you're putting the MSS sleep system, which is 10, 12 pounds, all 3 pieces of it or 5 pieces or whatever. That's going to add that weight. You're carrying a bigger jacket. You're carrying a hoodie. You're carrying X, Y, and Z. Summer humidity versus winter humidity. That's probably the biggest one that can change. someone wants us to do a wet weather challenge.
Have
So, yeah, the same 10 miles, but now you're soaking wet. How are you going to warm yourself up during the day? And then you can start playing around with it, right? Once you get your bag set, you can say, okay, I lost my ferro rod. What am I going to use for this? Or I lost my hammock broke. So now, like Survivability, I got to go out here and do some sort of bushcraft emergency shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And set time frames. You know, say, okay, I've got an hour. I lost my headlamp. I got an hour until the sun goes down. What can I build? What can I set up that's going to last me through the night?
I thought it'd be a good idea to do, you know, if somebody out in the audience wants to take on this challenge, that one of your meals has to be either foraged, hunted, or fished. I think that'd be a cool challenge.
That would be.
Let's see. What kind of, so this is a good discussion for the both of us. What kind of challenges did you run into while filming it?
So originally I was using a GoPro, and for some reason, GoPro footage does not stay in order. I think that was my biggest first issue that I ran into. So while I'm going out or going back and editing it, putting it into my editing software, I'd have the beginning portion of the trip, and then it'd be like some random middle, and then the end at the beginning. And so I had to go back. And then later on, okay, I got that cleared up. What I would do is I'd go and, you know, name the videos, the clips. Well, if I ever named the clip the same that I've previously used, so like bug out bag loadout, it would pull the footage from a video I could have done a year ago and had my audio as whatever the current video was.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then now just using my phone, transferring files has been my biggest issue. They don't have SD cards in them no more. And so you can't just pull the SD card out and throw it in your computer. You have to transfer it to the SD card. And I've made the mistake of getting 2 and 3 videos done, moving them to the SD card, and then corrupted. So now you lost all that footage. I've learned now that you got to copy them, and then you know, at least you will have that backup file on your phone, even if something happens. We've had issues. Filming at night has been our biggest issue. We want to show off, you know, how our tents look, or how our setups look at night, and we just don't have a good nighttime camera. It looks terrible. That last the summertime trip we did, we shot maybe 2 scenes at night just because it looked bad. I think we got some water, and then we, you know, all right guys, we're going to bed, just because we had lights, we had the headlamp, we had like a little LED lantern looking thing, and there wasn't enough light. So that's been our biggest issue. We have to talk a lot throughout the day to make up for not having anything at night. What about you?
So some of the same issues. Humidity is definitely an issue when you're filming. I didn't run into it on this trip because I broke it into more segments, but I've run into, when I'm filming outside, I run into problems where the camera gets overheated, and that's my phone for most of the footage, so that makes me nervous. I try to get some B-roll from you know, distance and stuff like that, but you know, sometimes, you know, we're not out there alone, and so like I have to leave my camera set up and I'm walking away football field length away, and you know, somebody could come along. I'd never catch them if they were fast. I'm too old for that. So there's a little bit of that. Definitely uploading when you're out, because you know, storage becomes an issue, of course, and so I'm uploading in like 10-minute segments, trying to store it in the cloud, and you don't get a good signal, right? Because you're out in the wilderness, so you might have 1 bar or 2 bars. So a lot of times that's my water break, and I'm sitting there like, okay, you know, it'll upload someday. I did run into the exact thing that you had said there, where I think it's because of that lag of uploading with a poor signal, and then I'm trying to work with the footage later on, and it's not synced right and stuff like that. So it's a little bit tricky, and I do most of it with my primary phone, and then I got another phone that I use for like some of the B-roll. So, you know, the more gear you carry with that stuff too, that's also added weight. How about what'd you do for a battery recharging while you guys were out there?
Sorry, I was reading the comments. So we carry power banks with us. Normally I carry, there we go. Normally I carry at least a 10,000 milliamp hour, just depending on what the plan is. I think the last trip I carried 20,000. That's 5 or 6 phone recharges. And then so every time that I'm not filming, I'm trying to, keep that phone topped off, because you never know. Okay, we're going to do a long segment here. We're going to sit and talk for 10, 20 minutes. That'll kill a battery in a heartbeat, especially when you're filming 4K, and it'll dump a battery. And then I'll carry a pocket full of memory cards. I've got that SD converter, inverter, whatever you want to call it. And then so I'll be like, okay, well, this is the good memory card. Well, I think I put footage on this one. How much does it have left? So I'll have the power bank in one pocket with the port hanging out, and then I'll have SD cards in the other pocket.
Okay. So before we start to wind it down, if the audience has any questions about the Titan Challenge or some of Brian's other work that he's done, of course, I'm gonna go back in here and put a link to his channel. If you're somehow not subscribed to the Titan Preparedness channel, I'd strongly encourage you to do that. It's a great channel, and I always enjoy his content. And like I said, he keeps it honest. He keeps it real. You'll always get good honesty there. Hey, Frontier Survival. So I'll give people a chance to ask any questions there. And while we're doing that, is there anything that you've got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
Just videos every Monday, every Wednesday. We've been on a little mini series with trading and bartering. I think I made a little people mad on the last one. I said thick lighters weren't great for trade. Got a couple downvotes on that one, but this Sunday and Sunday after are going to be more barter and trade. The Wednesdays are going to be gear reviews, product reviews, and then we are working on a wintertime trip. Always, looking for our next trip. We don't know if we're going to do the same one or if I'm going to link up with some of the other guys that I work with and do a trip with them. A little bit different because it's like a canoe kayaking trip versus
fun.
a hiking trip. Yeah, so little change of pace, little change of scenery. But yeah, videos every Monday and Wednesday.
You have any big goals for 2022 that you want to talk about yet?
I haven't straightened them out yet. Just we'll hit 1,500 hopefully before the end of the year. We're at 14 and some change, so we'll probably do a giveaway on that one. And when that happens, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, I think you are definitely well on your way, and hopefully we can add a few people to that subscribers after they watch this video. I will say that real quick before I wrap up, that what do I got coming up? I'm working on, oh gosh, I got to review this power station this weekend. I was telling Brian before we went live. I have this power station that I've been looking at. It's been sitting in my bedroom here for over a month, so I got to get to it. I have tons of outdoor footage that I got to edit, so that's going to be coming too. Yeah, we'll keep doing. For me, it's Tuesdays, usually midday. I have something. Either I'm live or I'm releasing something, and then Fridays I'm generally here doing the live stream unless I'm guesting on somebody else's. So that's what I got going on. I don't think we got any questions here. You guys got any last questions before we wrap it up and send everybody on their way for their weekend? I want to say I really appreciate you, Brian. Thank you for being on the channel.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I've got nothing but respect for you. You have a great channel, and your integrity to the community is top notch. You don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. And a lot of people get on and just kind of rant and rave about do this, do that,
Right.
But how many of them are actually doing the things, right? And I don't mean that as disrespect. There's somebody else who uses that catchphrase. That's not meant as disrespect for him. But I meant it literally, like how many people are doing the things, right?
Well, I appreciate it, and that's one thing I like about your channel as well and I think that's why me and you get along so well is we're both level-headed. We're not out here ringing the bell that the end is near. Yeah. You keep it down to earth. I keep it down to earth, and I'm looking forward to seeing that little challenge you got going on.
Yep, I'm working on that on the video. Yeah, I mean, I hope Doomsday doesn't happen. I'm prepping for retirement. I hope to one day see retirement, but hey, I prep for the other stuff too, and if we have to deal with some bad stuff, I'll do my best. What's a good? Here's a question here from Bacon.
Mhm.
Non-detectable heat source. So I'll give my first thoughts, and if you want to jump in that too. So fire is pretty much detectable miles away if there's no other fires going on. And that was something my dad taught me when he did his paratrooper training and things like that. He did some wilderness survival. I picked up a lot of stuff from him, and he said one of the things they did. He was training in Germany, and one of the things they did was they literally took the guys out into the woods, and they had one guy, commander or lieutenant, kind of march off a couple football fields away and lit a cigarette, and it was like a beacon. Everybody could see it. Mm-hmm. And even like people talk about the Dakota fire pit and stuff like that. Yeah, that's going to give you some concealment, but it's still, that light is still going to show, and the smell is really going to give away your position. You have any thoughts on this? So
if you can make fire, obviously do so. But if it's, fire is a little bit more difficult to see in the day. If you can heat up rocks, not river rocks, but like just rocks you find, heat those up in the fire, and then when the sun goes down, put that fire out, make it disappear. You can actually bury those about 4 or 5 inches under your tent or under your wherever. Just lay on the dirt right on top of it, and it'll keep you nice and warm. But again, you're talking heat signatures, hot hands, hot feet, hot, all those things. And then I want to say Zippo. I think that's who makes it. They make it's essentially a hot hand. It's a little about yay big. Maybe it fits in the palm of your hand. You put lighter fluid in it, you flick it on, burn it for a second, and then you cover it back up, and it stays good as long as that lighter fluid's in there. It'll stay good for like 6 or 8 hours. We use them at work in the morning times during the winter. And now it's not going to heat your whole body, obviously, but it's enough to at least hold in your hands. You can put it, on the chest or on your neck or something. That's the only top 3 options I can think of right now.
Yeah, those are good choices. Yeah, bottom line is if you're trying to be stealthy, the fire is going to give away your position. Dakota fire pit is going to give you some less of a signature. I did see a video years ago of some military guys in Bosnia in the middle of the winter, and they had built a very, very like this big, tiny fire pit into the side of like a why am I blanking on the word? Trench. Sorry, couldn't find the word. Trench. They had built it into the side of the trench so they could just kind of like heat up their hands and that kind of stuff. And that didn't, of course, that's not going to give away too much of a signature. But your options are definitely limited. And the bigger, of course, to get more heat, you're going to have to do a bigger fire. If you, the bigger the fire, the bigger the signature. And from what I understand, as far as like thermal, like if somebody's out there looking for you in thermal, there's very little you could do to mask that. Jump in the water, maybe.
If they're thermaling, one of the I'll tell you, like a dying tree gives off a thermal heat signature. Now I don't know how warm it is to link up and lay down with it, but it gives off thermal. I don't know how warm it is, but if someone's looking for you on thermal, good luck. You won't stand a chance.
Yeah, I've heard different things like mud and things like that, but I don't know. I mean,
then you're wet and trying to stay warm.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it. I don't see any other questions. Again, I appreciate you, everybody. When you get a chance, please head over to the Titan Preparedness channel. Give Brian a subscribe. You won't regret it, I promise. And I'd love to have you back on again in the future if you're interested.
Yes, sir. Anytime I'm not working.
All right. If you want to stay on for a second, we'll close it out and you and I can meet backstage.
I appreciate it, everyone. Y'all have a good night.